In your perfect, bright, pure mind, there will be a transformation. It will be like a pure Vaidurya that contains a precious moon. And in that way, you will transcend the 10 faiths, the 10 dwellings, the 10 practices, the 10 transferences, the 4 additional practices, the Vara-like 10 grounds of a Bodhisattva's practice, and the perfect brightness of equal enlightenment. You will enter the Tathagata sea of wondrous adornments, perfect the cultivation of Bodhi, and return to the state of non-attainment. These are subtle demonic states that all Buddhas warned on earth once of the past discerned with their enlightened clarity while in the state of shamatha and vipassana. If you can recognize a demonic state when it appears and wash away the filth in your mind, you will not develop wrong views. The demons of the skandhas will melt away, and the demons from the heavens will be destroyed. The mighty ghosts and spirits will lose their wits and flee, and the Li, Mei, and Wang Liang will not dare to show themselves again. You will directly arrive at Bodhi without the slightest weariness, progressing from lower positions to great nirvana without becoming confused or discouraged. If there are beings in the Dharma ending age who delight in cultivating samadhi, but who are stupid and dumb, who fail to recognize the importance of dhyana, or who have not heard the Dharma spoken, you should be concerned lest they get caught up in deviant ways. You should single-mindedly exhort them to uphold the Dharani mantra of the Buddha Summit. If they cannot recite it from memory, they should have it written out and place it in the meditation hall or wear it on their person. Then none of the demons will be able to disturb them. You should revere this final paradigm of ultimate cultivation and progress of the Tathagatas of the 10 directions. Ananda then arose from his seat. Having heard the Buddha's instruction, he bowed and respectfully upheld it, remembering every word and forgetting none. Then once more in the great assembly he spoke to the Buddha. The Buddha has told us that in the manifestation of the 5 skandhas, there are 5 kinds of falseness that come from our own thinking minds. We have never before been blessed with such subtle and wonderful instructions as the Tathagatas has now given. Further, are these 5 skandhas destroyed all at the same time, or are they extinguished in sequence? What are the boundaries of these 5 layers? We only hope the Tathagata, out of great compassion, will explain this in order to purify the eyes and illuminate the minds of those in the great assembly, and in order to serve as eyes for living beings of the future. The Buddha told Ananda, the essential, true, wonderful brightness and perfect purity of basic enlightenment does not admit birth and death, nor any mundane defilements, nor even empty space itself. All these are brought forth because of false thinking. The source of basic enlightenment, which is wonderfully bright, true, and pure, falsely gives rise to the material world, just as Janadatta became confused about his head when he saw his own reflection. The falseness basically has no cause, but in your false thinking, you set up causes and conditions. But those who are confused about the principle of causes and conditions call it spontaneity. Even empty space is an illusory creation. How much the more so are causes and conditions and spontaneity, which are mere speculations made by the false minds of living beings. Ananda, if you perceive the arising of falseness, you can speak of the causes and conditions of that falseness. But if the falseness has no source, you will have to say that the causes and conditions of that falseness basically have no source. How much the more is this the case for those who fail to understand this and advocate spontaneity? Therefore, the Tathagata has explained to you that the fundamental cause of all five skandhas is false thinking. Your body's initial cause was a thought on the part of your parents. But if you had not entertained any thought in your mind, you would not have been born. Life is perpetuated by means of thought. As I have said before, when you call to mind the taste of vinegar, your mouth waters. When you think of walking along a precipice, the soles of your feet tingle, since the precipice doesn't exist and there isn't any vinegar. How could your mouth water at the mere mention of vinegar, if it were not the case that your body originated from falseness? Therefore, you should know that your present physical body is brought about by the first kind of false thinking, which is characterized by solidity. As described earlier, merely thinking about high place can cause your body to tingle and ache. Due to that cause, feelings arise and affect your body, so that at present you pursue pleasant feelings and are repelled by unpleasant feelings. These two kinds of feelings that compel you are brought about by the second kind of false thinking, which is characterized by illusory clarity. Once your thoughts arise, they can control your body. Since your body is not the same as your thoughts, why is it that your body follows your thoughts and engages in every sort of grasping at objects? A thought arises and the body grasps at things in response to the thought. When you are awake, your mind thinks. When you are asleep, you dream. Thus, your thinking is stirred to perceive false situations. This is the third kind of false thinking, which is characterized by interconnectedness. The metabolic processes never stop. They progress through subtle changes. Your nails and hair grow, your energy wanes, and your skin becomes wrinkled. These processes continue day and night, and yet you never wake up to them. If these things aren't part of you, Ananda, then why does your body keep changing? And if they're really part of you, why aren't you aware of them? Your formation skandha continues in thought after thought without cease. It is the fourth kind of false thinking, which is subtle and hidden. Finally, if your pure, bright, clear, and unmoving state is permanent, then there should be no seeing, hearing, awareness, or knowing in your body. If it is genuinely pure and true, it should not contain habits or falseness. How does it happen then that having seen some unusual thing in the past, you eventually forgot it over time, until neither memory nor forgetfulness of it remain? But then later, upon suddenly seeing that unusual thing again, you remember it clearly from before without getting it a single detail. How can you keep track of the permanence that goes on in thought after thought in this pure, clear, and unmoving consciousness? Ananda, you should know that this state of clarity is not real. It is like a rapidly flowing water that appears to be still on the surface. Due to its speed, you cannot perceive the flow, but that does not mean it is not flowing. If this were not the source of thinking, then how could one be subject to false habits? If you do not open and unite your six sense faculties so that they function interchangeably, this false thinking will never cease. That's why your seeing, hearing, awareness, and knowing are presently strung together by subtle habits so that with the profound clarity, existence and non-existence are both unreal. This is the flip kind of upside-down, minutely subtle thinking. Ananda, these five skandhas of perception developed with five kinds of false thinking. You also wanted to know the depth and the scope of each realm. Form and emptiness are the boundaries of form. Contact and separation are the boundaries of feeling. Remembering and forgetting are the boundaries of thinking. Destruction and production are the boundaries of formations. Deep purity entering to unite with the deep purity belongs to the boundaries of consciousness. At their source, these five skandhas arise in layers. Their arising is due to consciousness, while their cessation begins with the elimination of form. You may have a sudden awakening to the principle, at which point they all simultaneously vanish, but in terms of the specifics, they are eliminated not at all once, but in sequence. I have already shown you the knots tied in kapasa cloth. What is it that you do not understand that causes you to ask about it again? You should gain a thorough understanding of the origin of this false thinking and then transmit your understanding to cultivators in the future Dhamma ending age. Let them recognize this falseness and naturally give rise to deep disdain for it. Let them know of Nirvana so that they will not linger in the triple realm. Ananda, suppose someone were to fill up all the space in the 10 directions with the 7 precious things and then present them as an offering to Buddhas as numerous as motes of dust, with his mind set on serving and making offerings to them in thought after thought, makings to them in thought after thought. Do you think this person would reap many blessings from making such an offering to the Buddhas? Ananda answered, since space is limitless, the precious things would be boundless. In the past, someone gave the Buddha 7 corns and consequently was reborn as a wheel-turning king in his next life. As to this person who now fills up all of space and all the Buddha lands with an offering of precious things that could not be reckoned through endless aeons, how could there be a limit to his blessings? The Buddha told Ananda, all Buddhas, Tathagatas, speak words which are not false. There might be another person who had personally committed in the 4 major offenses of the 10 parajikas, so that in an instant he would have to pass through the Avicii house in this world and other worlds until he had passed through all the relentless houses in the 10 directions without exception. And yet, if he could explain this Dhamma door for just the space of a thought to those in the Dhamma ending age who have not yet studied it, his obstacles from offenses would be eradicated in response to that thought, and all the hells where he was to undergo suffering would become lands of peace and bliss. The blessings he would obtain would surpass those of the person previously mentioned by hundreds of thousands of millions of billions of times, indeed by so many times that no calculations or analogies could express it. Ananda, if living beings are able to recite this sutra and uphold this mantra, I could not describe in endless sense how great the benefits will be. Rely on the teaching I have spoken, cultivate in accord with it, and you will directly realize Bodhi without encountering demonic karma. When the Buddha finished speaking this sutra, the bhikshus, bhikshunis, upasakas, upasikas, and all the gods, humans, and asuras in this world, as well as all the bodhisattvas, those of the two vehicles, sages, immortals, and pure youths in other directions, and the mighty ghosts and spirits of initial resolve, all felt elated, made obeisance, and withdrew.